But when God gave it to me and I put it all together, I realized the association between these scriptures and others that I will be relating to help us understand the brick. First, let me explain about the brick. Everyone at some time or somewhere in our lives had a brick thrown at them. Whether it was like a brick upside our head for us to pay attention, we were hit with a ton of bricks and it made us realize something, or we just came to a time in our life when we felt like we hit a brick wall. We were hit. Sometimes when we are just minding our own business, a brick is used to get our attention. At that moment, we have to make a choice. Back in the cowboy days, or even in the old mob days, they used a brick through your window with a note attached to it. That note gave you a choice, mostly to get out of town or to do what was offered to you. Remember in Exodus 3, verses 1 through 6, and if you'd like to follow, that's on page 60 of your pew Bibles. Moses was standing there minding his flock, 80 years old, minding his own business, when suddenly a burning bush appeared. This bush was the brick that God sent Moses to get his attention to do something. At that moment, Moses had to make a choice. Remember when we were kids and we were doing something that we weren't supposed to do? Your mom and dad clipped you upside your head. Girl, stop that. Remember that song, Oops Upside Your Head? When someone was doing something that wasn't right and you didn't notice, but all of a sudden, oops, upside your head. When things get so out of sync for us, we have hit rock bottom, we have hit the lowest of the low, whether it be by one's death, loss of a job, sickness, money, whatever, we hit that brick wall. At that moment, we have to make a choice. Now another brick is a brick that stops us from doing something that we were either thinking about doing, we were going to do, or something you have already done that was not right. This could either be a ton of bricks or a stumbling block. This could also be a brick that just hits us so hard that it makes us do something that is good. Have you ever said you were going to go do something that you know was not right, but it seemed like fun at the time? You were going to go somewhere and do something, probably something bad, but when you got to your car, you had a flat tire? Have you ever been sitting around doing nothing, and then all of a sudden something hit you like a ton of bricks, and you just get up and do what needs to be done? Remember the young man that came a few months back and stated that he used to come here and stop, and then one morning he got up and something hit him like a sledgehammer, and he got up and came to church? Well, that is a ton of bricks. God sometimes hits us with a ton of bricks, and at that moment, we need to make a choice. There are many people that God threw bricks at in the Bible. For instance, in Numbers 12, 1 through 15, page 152 of your pew Bibles, God punished Miriam for talking about Moses' wife and questioning God about coming only through Moses. God made her a leper. Now we see in verse 4, God calls them out. Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, come out to the tent of meeting, all three of you. Now you see, right there, they should have known that they were in trouble. Because when we were kids, and my mama said, Connie, Stephanie, Phyllis, come here right now, we knew that we were going to get in trouble. Something was going to happen that involved punishment. But you see, Miriam only had to suffer for 7 days, and then the Lord restored her because at that moment, Miriam, Aaron, and Moses had to make a choice. In Luke 1, verses 11 through 20, page 1069 of your pew Bibles, Zechariah did not believe God's word about having a baby and named the baby John. He questioned the angel of the Lord, and he was made mute. And he remained mute until he did what the Lord said and named his son John. Being mute was a brick that made Zechariah realize he had to make a choice. That choice is what restored his speech. In the story of Jonah, chapters 1 and 2, page 967 through 968 of our pew Bibles, God threw Jonah overboard and had him swallowed up by a great fish because Jonah did not want to go to Nineveh where the Lord had commanded. Jonah was going to go to Tarshish where Jonah wanted to go. Jonah was being disobedient, and God created a great storm and threw him overboard, and the great fish swallowed him up. While in the great fish's mouth, Jonah had to make a choice. In making that choice, he prayed a powerful prayer to God, and God released him from the fish's mouth. Now, all of these scriptures let us know that God will do what he has to do in order for us to believe in him and keep our faith in him. He will give you a choice, and the proper answer to that choice is God. In all of these scriptures, the only thing that had to be done was to believe God, choose God, and follow God's steps. When God sees us doing wrong, willfully disobeying, being doubtful, questioning his authority, or slipping away, he will do what is necessary for us to get back to him. God will throw a brick at us each and every time in order to show his love for us. In all of the above scriptures, God only punishes us for a little while. And when we turn and do what he asks, when we make the right choice, we are all right with him again. Just like when we were kids and we got spanked, punished, whatever, for doing wrong, or even thinking of doing something wrong, our parents punished us so that we could see what is right and to show that they loved us enough to punish us in order for us to become better people. At that moment, we didn't know it, but we were given a choice to believe and obey our parents or keep doing what is not right. God does the same with his children. Now those Israelites, they had so many bricks thrown at them for all their grumbling, disbelief, disobedience, and rebelling that we would think that God would just give up on them. But he didn't. God loved them just as much as he loves us. Oh yeah, sometimes they just angered God so much that he did chastise them and even put some to death because of their outright disobedience. But God wanted his people to have all the blessings that were due to them, so sometimes he had to do certain things to glorify his name and to teach them how mighty God he is. All they had to do was believe him, obey him, and follow him. They were given a choice. Some made the right choice and some did not. Well, we know what happened to them.